Your future is not determined by what you hope for or dream about. It's determined by the actions you take today. Every choice you make, every habit you form, and every moment you decide to push through challenges plays a part in shaping your future. The truth is simple. Self-discipline is the key. It's not about luck or circumstances. It's about taking control of your daily life, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching. The decisions you make when it feels tough are the ones that matter the most. In this video, we'll dive into how self-discipline shapes your future. We're going to talk about the habits you need to build, the mindset you must develop, and the steps you can take right now to make sure you stay on track. This isn't about motivation alone. This is about creating lasting change. If you want to know how to push through the moments when you're tempted to give up, how to stay focused when distractions surround you, and how to take action even when it feels uncomfortable, then stick around. The reality is, your future will be the result of the discipline you build today. Now let's dive in. Number 1. Build strong habits that shape your daily choices. Discipline is not something you wait for. It's something you build. You make it by shaping your daily actions over and over again. And the truth is, self-discipline is what will carry you when nothing else will. It decides who you become, what you achieve, and how far you go. That's the truth we often overlook, because it's not easy. It's not glamorous. It's not loud, but it is powerful. Now, if you want to change your future, you don't need a miracle. You don't need luck. You need strong habits that support your daily choices. That's the foundation. You don't wake up one day and suddenly become disciplined. You build it like a muscle. You build it by choosing what matters over what's easy. You build it by making decisions today that honor who you want to be tomorrow. Self-discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. Because the real test of your character is in your daily routine. When no one is watching, when no one is clapping, that's when it counts. People often ask how to stay motivated, but motivation isn't enough. Motivation will fade. It always does. What you need is discipline. That's what keeps you moving when the excitement disappears. That's what keeps you steady when your emotions go up and down. When it's early in the morning and your bed feels too comfortable. When your friends are relaxing but you've got goals to work on, that's when your habits speak for you. Start with one thing, one simple action. Set a time to wake up and stick to it. Set a time to read, to train, to work, and stick to it. And when you don't feel like it, do it anyway. That's where self-respect grows. That's where belief in yourself builds. Because every time you follow through, you prove something to yourself. You prove that you can rely on you. And that's where your future begins. Your future doesn't begin with a dream. It begins with discipline. You can dream all you want, but without action, nothing changes. The only way to shape your future is by shaping your habits. Day by day, action by action. You decide how you spend your time. You decide what you say yes to and what you say no to. You decide how much you're willing to work for the life you say you want. People want change, but they avoid discipline. They avoid routines. They avoid rules. But those rules you create for yourself, they're not limits. They're your foundation. They give you structure. They give you direction. Without discipline, your time slips away. Your energy scatters. Your future remains unclear. Look at your daily routine. Be honest. Is it leading you where you want to go? If not, it's time to change it. Don't wait until things get worse. Don't wait until life forces you to act. Be the one who takes control before it's too late. Build habits that align with your goals, and stick to them, even when it's hard. Discipline is doing the workout when you're tired. It's turning off the screen when you know you should be resting. It's finishing the work when you'd rather relax. It's having the conversation you've been avoiding. It's choosing growth over comfort, again and again. It doesn't matter if it's small. What matters is that it's done. Progress isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just you doing what you said you would do. That's how strong habits form. That's how the future changes. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be committed. Discipline will help you build the life you've imagined. But it starts with action. Not talk. Not good intentions. Not inspiration. Just real, steady action. That's what strong habits are. They're your defense against weakness. They're your shield when temptation shows up. And they're your proof that you're serious about your future. Every day you make choices. And those choices shape who you become. So stop thinking about what you'll do someday. Decide what you'll do today. Choose habits that support your highest goals. Choose routines that bring out your best. You don't need to change everything at once. Just take one step, and don't stop. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You need courage to begin, and discipline to continue. You need to be willing to push past what's comfortable, and face what's necessary. That's where strength lives. That's where the future begins. The truth is, if you don't build strong habits, you'll fall into weak ones. If you don't take control of your day will take control of you. And soon you'll look up and realize time has passed, and nothing has changed. Don't let that happen. You have the power to change your life. But it starts with what you do today. So decide who you want to become. Then ask yourself, what kind of habits would that person have? What would they do every morning? How would they handle setbacks? How would they manage time, energy, and focus? And then begin to live like that person. Build those habits, one by one. It won't be easy. You'll have days when you don't feel like it. You'll have moments of doubt. But if you stay consistent, if you choose discipline over excuses, your future will change. Your confidence will grow. Your results will speak. And people will wonder how you did it. But you'll know it was built through small steps, hard choices, and quiet discipline. You'll know it was built in the early mornings, in the late nights, in the lonely hours. You'll know it was built through a decision to stop making excuses and start making progress. Discipline isn't something you're born with. It's something you create. And every one of us has the ability to create it. No matter your past, no matter your situation, you can start today. You can choose stronger habits. You can shape your daily choices, and those choices will shape your life. So remember, self-discipline will determine your future, not chance, not luck, not other people. Your habits, your decisions, your discipline. Start building the right habits, and the rest will follow. That's the way forward. That's how your future is made. Number 2, wake up early and take control of your day. Waking up early is not about impressing anyone. It's not about trying to be better than others. It's about being better than the version of yourself that keeps waiting for the right time to start. When you begin your day before the world starts calling your name, you give yourself the best chance to lead it with clarity, with calm, and with strength. Too many people live in response. They wait until something goes wrong to act. They wait until they're late, until they're stressed, until they're behind. And then they scramble. They panic. They lose control. But when you get up early, you choose to start from a place of peace. You step into the day ahead of problems, ahead of excuses, ahead of distractions. That decision changes everything. The moment you wake up with purpose, you take power back. You're no longer controlled by the rush of life. You set your own tone. You make time to think clearly. You open space to be productive before demands begin. That's not just good time management. That's self-respect. That's self-leadership. And that's where personal growth begins. Most people underestimate the impact of their mornings. They treat it as something to survive instead of something to use. But what if you stopped rushing through it? What if you stopped waking up at the last possible minute? What if instead you chose to rise early? Not just to get things done, but to become the kind of person who does what they said they would do. You see, getting up early isn't just about time. It's about momentum. When you rise early and start the day on your terms, you build a sense of control that carries through the rest of your schedule. You're not reacting. You're creating. You're not waiting. You're moving. You're not making excuses. You're making progress. This discipline creates an edge, not over others, but over the distractions that try to run your life. It's not always about what you do when you're up. Sometimes it's about what you stop doing. You stop snoozing. You stop rushing. You stop living in stress. You gain room to breathe. You gain time to focus. You gain energy to act. And this time in the morning, it's yours. No one's asking for anything yet. No one's pulling at your attention. No one's interrupting you. That silence is a gift. That stillness is a chance to look at your priorities, to check your goals, to move your body, to sharpen your mind, or even to sit quietly and reflect. There's power in that kind of beginning. It grounds you. It centers you. You're not waking up early to follow a trend. You're waking up early because your goals matter, because your dreams matter, because your peace of mind matters. And you know that starting strong gives you a better chance of ending strong. There will be days when it feels hard. There will be mornings when your bed feels like the easiest option. And you might wonder, why am I doing this? But the answer is simple. You're doing it because you've decided to be responsible for your life. And responsibility doesn't wait. It doesn't sleep in. It shows up. Once you commit to rising early, you'll notice something shift. Not just in your results, but in how you carry yourself. You begin to feel more capable, more in control. You start showing up earlier, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. You stop making excuses. You start making time. That's where your discipline is built. Not when things are easy, but when you rise anyway. This isn't about being perfect every morning. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're simply proving to yourself that you can lead yourself, that you can show up without being forced, that you can put your values into action before the pressure of the day arrives. That's what builds confidence. That's what builds grit. And that's what transforms average days into meaningful progress. Your morning decisions shape your mindset. If you begin with purpose, you carry that purpose with you. If you begin with delay, you carry that delay into your choices. One small shift in how your day begins can create a long-term difference in where your life ends up. Start small. Set the alarm 30 minutes earlier. Use that time with intention. Don't waste it on distractions. Don't just check messages or scroll through your phone. Use it for something that builds you. It could be writing your goals down. It could be stretching. It could be reviewing your schedule. It could be sitting in stillness to connect with your values. Use that time to invest in yourself, and your day will reflect it. There's a sense of pride that comes from waking up early and doing something good for yourself before anyone else is even moving. That pride isn't arrogance. It's personal dignity. It's a reminder that you are capable of doing the hard things that most people avoid. It's a quiet kind of victory, one that strengthens you from the inside. Over time, this habit adds up. The extra hour each morning becomes a foundation. And that foundation allows you to think clearly, plan better, respond with patience, and act with purpose. Instead of reacting to life, you begin directing it. And once you feel that power, you won't want to go back. Of course, this doesn't mean your day will always go perfectly. It won't, but when you start it with discipline, you build resilience. And that resilience helps you recover faster. It helps you refocus. It helps you keep your head in the game when things go wrong. Because no matter what happens later, you already started the day as a leader. And leadership starts at home. It starts within. It starts by managing yourself before you try to manage anything else. Waking up early is a declaration. It says you are done waiting for things to change. It says you're ready to take responsibility for your energy, your focus, and your time. So don't underestimate the power of a quiet morning. Don't overlook the value of being up when it's still dark outside. Those are the hours where transformation begins. Not in front of a crowd, not with loud declarations, but in the quiet decision to rise when it would be easier to stay in bed. If you want to take control of your life, take control of your mornings. And if you want to take control of your mornings, you start by getting up. No delay, no excuse, no negotiation, just action. Just movement, just discipline. And once you build that habit, you'll never see your days the same again. Waking up early is a choice you make for your future. It's one of the most personal and powerful decisions you can take. And no matter where you are in life, you can make that choice today. You don't need a perfect schedule. You don't need to be a morning person. You need a reason. And once you have that reason, you'll have the drive to rise for it. So start tomorrow. Set the time. Get up before the rush. Claim the first hour as your own. Use it with clarity. Move with purpose. And watch how your days begin to fall in line with your goals. That's how you take control. That's how your future begins. Number 3. Say no to distractions that steal your future. Saying no to distractions is one of the most powerful and difficult things you'll ever learn. It's easy to say yes. It's easy to drift. It's easy to waste time and think you'll get serious later. But life doesn't wait. Opportunities don't last forever. Every moment you give to distractions is a moment stolen from your progress, from your growth, from your future. Every time you choose a distraction over your discipline, you're pushing your goals further away. And that may not seem like a big deal today, but those lost moments add up. They become days, then weeks, then months. Eventually, you look up and realize you're not where you hoped to be, not because you weren't capable, but because you didn't protect your time. You didn't guard your focus. You didn't say no when it mattered most. You live in a world full of noise, notifications, entertainment, opinions, trends. They're always fighting for your attention. They're designed to keep you engaged, but never fulfilled. They give you a quick reward, but steal your long-term reward. You finish the day feeling tired, but you didn't move closer to your purpose. That's the trap. That's what distraction does. It keeps you busy, but empty. If you want a different future, you need to make different choices. And it starts with what you say no to. Not every invitation deserves your time. Not every trend deserves your energy. Not every voice deserves your attention. You've got to train yourself to recognize what builds you and what breaks your focus. That kind of awareness is the beginning of personal freedom. Discipline is not only about what you do, it's about what you don't allow. Saying no is a skill, a habit, a form of self-respect, because you understand what's at stake. You know that time is limited. You know that your energy is not infinite, and you're not willing to waste it on things that don't matter in the long run. You have dreams. You have goals. But you won't reach them by accident. You'll reach them by eliminating what doesn't belong. That includes mindless scrolling, endless entertainment, pointless arguments, and shallow validation. You don't need any of those things. You need clarity. You need focus. You need commitment. And none of those things grow in a distracted mind. Start paying attention to your habits. Ask yourself often, is this helping me become who I want to be? If the answer is no, it's a distraction. And your job is to reject it. Not because it's evil, but because it's not useful. Not everything that feels good is good for you. Not everything that's popular is valuable. You've got to develop the strength to step away, even when it's easy to stay. You won't master this overnight. You'll slip. You'll get caught in loops. You'll waste time. That's human. But the goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. The more aware you become of what's pulling you away from your potential, the more control you take back. Control over your day, over your mind, over your future. Understand that saying no doesn't make you cold. It doesn't make you selfish. It makes you responsible. It means you've decided to value your time. It means you've stopped apologizing for protecting your focus. Because the truth is, no one else will do it for you. If you don't guard your time, someone else will use it for their purpose instead of yours. You owe it to yourself to stay committed to your vision. That means making hard decisions. That means choosing your goals over temporary pleasure. That means being willing to miss out on the things that don't really matter, so you don't miss out on the life that does. It's not about shutting yourself off from the world. It's about filtering what comes into your world. You don't need to disconnect from everything, but you do need to stay connected to what truly matters. And that requires clarity. Clarity about your values. Clarity about your goals. Clarity about your time. Every time you say no to a distraction, you say yes to your growth. You say yes to your purpose. You say yes to your development. You get stronger. You gain time. You build momentum. And soon what used to pull you in no longer holds any power over you. Because you've trained your focus. You've strengthened your discipline. And now you move with intention. Start small. Don't try to fix everything in one day. Begin with one distraction. Maybe it's checking your phone every few minutes. Maybe it's watching shows for hours. Maybe it's conversations that drain your energy. Identify one and replace it with something that feeds your growth. A walk, a journal, a book, a moment of quiet thought. Replace the habit with something that gives back, not something that just takes. You'll notice the difference almost immediately. You'll feel lighter, clearer, more in control. That's the reward of saying no. You're not losing anything. You're gaining back your time, your energy, your future. Saying no is hard at first because we're trained to think we're missing out. But the real loss is staying stuck in things that never move us forward. You're not missing out on anything important when you choose discipline. You're choosing peace over pressure, progress over distraction, vision over confusion. One of the most important things you'll ever learn is how to say no without guilt, without needing to explain, without feeling like you owe anyone an excuse. You owe yourself the focus. You owe yourself the discipline. You owe yourself the chance to live a meaningful life. That's reason enough. You won't always get applause for your choices. You won't always get approval, but you'll get results. And in the end, that's what matters. Not who liked your decisions, but what your decisions created for your future. Remember, you don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to keep up with everything. You don't need to consume everything. Your life is not a reaction. It's a creation. And the fewer distractions you allow, the more space you have to build something real. Discipline doesn't grow in a distracted mind. So clear the noise. Cut the clutter. Say no to the things that steal your future. Say no to the temptations that offer nothing but delay. Say no to the patterns that keep you stuck. Because you deserve more. You were made for more. But it won't happen if you're always looking away from what matters. So stay focused. Stay committed. Stay grounded. And keep saying no to everything that doesn't help you grow. Your future is shaped by what you allow today. Protect it. Guard it. Build it. Say no now, so you can say yes to the life you've been working for. Number 4. Follow your routine, even when you feel tired. Following your routine when you're tired is not about forcing yourself to pretend you're strong. It's about proving to yourself that your word matters, even when you don't feel like it. That kind of consistency shapes your identity. It tells your mind and body that what you started means something. It builds character. It deepens your sense of control, because if you only show up when you're rested or excited, you're letting your emotions lead your life. But real progress begins when your actions are greater than your moods. The truth is, there will always be days when you feel off. You'll wake up with low energy. You'll feel heavy, unmotivated. You might even wonder if pushing through is worth it. That's the very moment where growth begins, not in the easy days, but in the ones that challenge your resolve. When you do what needs to be done despite how you feel, you teach yourself that discipline is not dependent on comfort. It comes from commitment. Routines exist to anchor you. They're not designed for when life feels perfect. They're meant to carry you through when life feels uncertain. A solid routine doesn't just organize your day. It keeps your mind steady. It gives structure when everything else feels loose. And when you stick to it on the hard days, it becomes more than just a schedule. It becomes a source of power. Most people wait to feel ready. They wait until they have energy, until they feel inspired. But waiting has a cost. The more you delay, the more momentum you lose. The more you skip the small steps, the harder it gets to restart. That's how people drift. Not from one big failure, but from 1,000 little exits. Each one disguised as "I'm just too tired today." But you're not here to drift. You're here to move forward. And that means holding to your routine even when it feels uncomfortable. Especially when it feels uncomfortable. Because it's in those moments that your actions start building mental strength. And mental strength doesn't appear overnight. It shows up after repetition, after decisions made in silence, after choosing what's right over what's easy. You might not perform at your best every day, and that's okay. Some days you move slower. Some days you're not as sharp, but even a small effort done consistently will take you further than a burst of energy that disappears. What matters most is that you show up, that you don't break your promise to yourself, that you choose progress over pause. Think of your routine like a thread. Each day you follow through, you add to its strength. One day missed might not break it, but every time you choose to stay consistent, that thread becomes a rope, something you can rely on when your emotions fluctuate, when the world feels overwhelming, when motivation runs dry, and the reward isn't just in the tasks completed. The real reward is in who you become by staying consistent. You start to trust yourself. You begin to believe that you can handle life's demands without collapsing. You build a foundation that can't be shaken easily. That kind of belief changes the way you walk through life. It changes how you face pressure. It changes how you talk to yourself. Most people don't lack ambition. They lack endurance. They start strong but don't finish. Not because they aren't capable, but because they let tiredness stop them. And tiredness is real, of course. But it shouldn't always be the reason you turn away from your plan. Because if you give in every time you're worn out, you'll never find out how much you're truly capable of. This isn't about ignoring your health. It's not about pushing yourself to the edge. It's about knowing the difference between real exhaustion and the discomfort that comes with growth. When your body truly needs rest, rest. But don't let laziness disguise itself as fatigue. Be honest with yourself. Most of the time, the tiredness we feel is resistance. Mental friction. Not a physical limit, but a psychological one. You don't need to overhaul your whole day when you feel low. Sometimes just doing one part of your routine is enough to shift your state. Start small. Move forward, even if it's slow. Show up, even if it's uncomfortable. That small step carries weight. It sends a message. I don't quit just because it's hard. And here's something else. The satisfaction you feel after following through when you were tired. It's unlike any other feeling. It's quiet. It's deep. It reminds you that you are more powerful than your excuses. It's in those quiet victories, when no one is watching, when you didn't want to do it but did it anyway, that self-discipline takes root. You might not always feel proud before you begin, but you'll always feel better afterward. That's why following your routine matters so much. It teaches you how to move without waiting for a perfect emotional state. Because let's face it, motivation will come and go. But discipline once built stays. It becomes your anchor. Look around you. Most people struggle with consistency. They start something, then stop. They get excited, then fade. Don't be most people. Be someone who does what they said they'd do. Not once. Not when it's convenient. But every day, even when tired. Even when distracted. Even when your mind says not today. Because the difference between those who achieve something and those who don't isn't talent. It's consistency. It's the small choices made when no one's looking. It's doing the work when you'd rather rest. And every time you make that choice, you move closer to the future you want. Your routine is your foundation. It's where your day starts and ends. If you protect it, it will protect you. It will give you structure in chaos. It will keep your feet on the ground when life shakes. But it only works if you stick with it. Not just when things feel good, but especially when they don't. So tomorrow when you feel tired, don't quit. Don't hit pause. Don't tell yourself you'll try again next week. Just do one thing. One piece of your routine. One action that aligns with who you want to become. You don't need to feel 100%. You just need to follow through. And remember, every time you keep going while tired, you're not just keeping a routine. You're building a mindset. You're shaping your future. You're becoming someone who shows up no matter what. And that kind of person, that's who changes their life. That's who creates success from the inside out. Number 5. Stick to your plan when motivation disappears. There will be days when motivation just won't show up. Days when you feel flat, when nothing excites you, when you look at your goals and feel nothing. No fire, no rush, no spark. And that's where most people give up. Not because they didn't want it, not because the goal wasn't important, but because they relied on a feeling to move forward. Motivation is good, but it's not dependable. It comes and goes. Some mornings you wake up ready to go. Other days, even getting out of bed feels heavy. If your progress depends on how inspired you feel, you'll always be stuck in a cycle of inconsistency. You need something stronger than motivation. You need discipline. You need a plan that you follow regardless of your mood, because moods are temporary. But your plan, your structure, your commitment, those are what keep you grounded when the energy fades, when the emotions disappear, when the initial excitement has worn off. Sticking to your plan when motivation disappears is not about being robotic. It's about having a clear path that matters enough to keep going without a push. It's about making a promise to yourself and keeping it, especially when there's no applause, no cheering, no thrill. The strength of your commitment shows in those quiet moments when no one's watching and everything inside you wants to take the day off. Think back to the reason you made your plan in the first place. You had a goal. You had a standard. Something inside you wanted change. You sat down and mapped out what needed to be done. That plan didn't appear by accident. You designed it because it matched the future you wanted, and that future still matters. Even on the days you feel nothing. Even when you're tired, even when progress seems invisible, you can't build a strong life on weak habits. And weak habits form when you only act on impulse. Strong habits come from repetition, from doing the same thing again and again, even when your heart isn't in it that day. Following your plan even when you're uninspired is how you prove to yourself that your goals don't rely on chance. They rely on your will. It's okay to not feel driven all the time. That's natural. But don't confuse lack of emotion with lack of purpose. You can still take action. You can still check the box. You can still show up. And those are the moments that truly count. The days you work even when your mind resists. That's where growth happens. That's where your character is being shaped. Most people expect success to feel exciting all the way through. They picture constant motivation, constant results, constant momentum. But real progress is built in silence, in the hours no one sees, in the effort that goes unnoticed. If you only work when it feels good, you'll fall short, because there's no consistency in waiting for perfect moods. There's only delay, and delay leads to doubt, and doubt keeps you stuck. Your plan is your anchor. When everything around you feels scattered, your plan gives you something to return to, a clear action, a simple next step. That's the beauty of structure. It saves you from drifting. It brings your focus back. And it helps you stay on course when your emotions try to pull you away. You don't need to feel excited to take action. You just need to take one step. That's it. And once you take that step, it gets a little easier to take the next. Momentum builds from doing, not from waiting, not from hoping, but from choosing to follow through. Even when your energy is low, you've got to learn how to work with resistance, not avoid it, not fear it, but understand it. It's a signal, not a stop sign. It means you're stretching. It means you're moving beyond what's comfortable. And that discomfort is a part of the process. It's not a reason to quit. It's a reason to keep going. There's a sense of pride that comes when you finish something you didn't feel like starting. You look back and realize that your feelings didn't get to decide the outcome. You did. That pride builds trust in yourself. And that trust is what fuels the next hard day, the next tough choice, the next moment of doubt. Sticking to your plan gives you consistency, and consistency gives you results. Not fast, not overnight, but real, sustainable, earned. And those are the results that last. The kind that don't fade just because your mood changed. The kind that stay because you built them step by step. You might not feel inspired today. That's okay. You're not supposed to feel inspired every day. But that doesn't mean today is wasted. You still have a plan. You still have a path. And you still have the ability to follow it. Even without motivation. Especially without motivation. Because the truth is, the people who reach their goals are not always the most excited. They're not the most energized. They're the ones who kept going when it was boring. when it was quiet, when it felt like nothing was happening. They showed up. They executed. They honored their plan. And you can too. You don't need to feel like it. You just need to do it. One task, one action, one moment of saying, I'm still in this. Not for motivation, not for praise, but because you said you would. Because your future still matters, even if today doesn't feel perfect. So if today feels dull, keep moving. If your mind is tired, do one small thing from your plan. Don't wait to feel better. Don't search for a burst of energy. Stick to what you wrote down. Trust that your past self made that plan for a reason. Trust that showing up today, even half-hearted, still counts. This is how you separate yourself from the crowd. Not by being loud, but by being consistent. Not by chasing feelings, but by honoring your structure. That structure becomes your strength. It becomes your identity. It turns discipline into a habit. And when motivation returns, and it will, it finds you already moving, already progressing, already growing. That's the reward of discipline. It doesn't depend on the weather. It doesn't depend on your mood. It depends on your choices. And every time you follow your plan, you're choosing progress. So don't wait for motivation. It's too fragile. Build something stronger. Build the habit of showing up, no matter what. That's what transforms your life. Not hype, not emotion, but the decision to keep going when it's the last thing you feel like doing. That's how success is built. That's how confidence grows. And that's how your future takes shape, by sticking to your plan even when motivation disappears. Number 6. Choose effort over comfort in every hard moment. Every hard moment gives you a decision to make. You can lean toward comfort, or you can choose effort. It won't always feel like a big choice, but those quiet decisions build who you become. Most people want progress without discomfort. They hope for strength without challenge. But life doesn't work that way. Growth only comes from effort, not from wanting something, but from working for it. Especially when it's hard. Especially when it tests your patience, your belief, your drive. When things get tough, comfort will call to you. It'll tell you to take it easy, to slow down, to stop pushing so hard. But every time you give in to that voice, you lose a little more of your edge. You trade discipline for ease. And ease never brings real fulfillment. It might feel good for a moment, but it leaves you right where you started, unchanged. Effort is uncomfortable. It stretches you. It demands more than you feel ready to give. But that's exactly why it matters. When you choose effort over comfort, you take control. You say, this is hard, but I will face it anyway. You begin to trust yourself. Not just when things are smooth, but when life puts pressure on your shoulders. Think about the last time you faced something difficult. What did you do? Did you back down? Or did you lean in? Even a little. That moment says more about your character than any words ever could, because effort is action. It's not talk. It's not theory. It's doing the thing you said you'd do. Even when it's uncomfortable. Comfort feels good now. Effort pays off later. One gives you short-term relief, the other gives you long-term confidence. Which one are you building your life on? The people who succeed are not always the most talented. They're the ones who choose effort when others fold. They wake up early when it's cold. They stay focused when they're tired. They work hard when no one's clapping. That's the difference. Not in ability, but in discipline. Not in opportunity, but in response. Hard moments are the perfect training ground. They force you to make a choice. Will you act on your emotions, or will you act on your values? When you choose effort, you tell yourself that your future matters more than your comfort. That's a powerful statement. It means you are not here to coast. You're here to rise. Most people never reach their potential. Not because they're lazy, but because they choose what's easy too often. It's subtle. You tell yourself, I'll do it later. Or it's not a big deal to skip just this once. But each time you avoid effort, you make that choice more familiar. And eventually, it becomes who you are. But the opposite is also true. Each time you choose effort, when it's tough, when it's boring, when it's inconvenient, you strengthen your character. You create a pattern. You become someone who keeps showing up. That identity will carry you when everything else feels uncertain. Effort builds resilience. It trains your mind to keep going when your body wants to quit. It reminds you that you can do hard things. Not just once, but consistently. That belief doesn't come from comfort. It comes from struggle, from friction, from pushing through. When others stop, you don't need to make giant leaps. Just start with one choice. One decision to face discomfort and move anyway. That's how momentum builds. Not all at once, but gradually. You learn to trust that effort works. That even small actions compound into real change. Comfort will always be easy to choose. It will always offer the path of least resistance. But that path leads nowhere new. If you want a better life, you have to move through resistance. You have to get used to the tension, to the soreness, to the sacrifice. That's where the rewards live. It's okay if you don't feel ready. Most people never do. But effort doesn't wait for perfect timing. It begins with a choice. Right now, in this moment, to take a step forward, even if it's messy, even if it's not your best. The act of trying, of showing up with full intention, will separate you from the crowd. Effort is a habit, just like anything else. The more you choose it, the easier it gets to keep choosing it. And soon it becomes part of who you are. Not something you force, but something you expect of yourself. That's where power comes from. From aligning your actions with your vision. You may not control how you feel today. You may not control what's happening around you, but you can control your response. You can say, "This is difficult, and I will still give my best." That mindset is rare, and because it's rare, it's valuable. The difference between average and exceptional isn't talent. It's effort in hard moments. It's continuing to train when others stop. It's making time when others say they're too busy. It's being consistent when others are inconsistent. That difference adds up. Over time, it becomes impossible to ignore. You won't see the results right away. That's normal. Effort takes time to bear fruit. But that's what makes it so valuable. Because while others look for shortcuts, you're building something real. You're developing grit, and grit is what carries you through every season of life. Remember, you're not doing this just to feel good today. You're doing it to build something that lasts. A body you're proud of. A business that serves others. A life that reflects your values. None of that happens without effort, and none of it survives without resilience. The world doesn't owe you comfort, and it doesn't reward you for staying safe. It rewards courage. It rewards those who lean into discomfort and say, "I will not be held back by this moment." Be that person. Choose to rise when it's hard. Choose to move when you'd rather stay still. Every tough situation gives you a chance to level up. You can either retreat, or you can step in with full effort. You can either let the hard moment define your limits, or you can use it to stretch your capacity. The choice is always yours. Make the one that builds your future. The more you choose effort, the more you grow. And the more you grow, the more equipped you are for the next challenge. Life doesn't get easier. You just get stronger. But only if you keep choosing the path of growth, the path of discipline, the path of real, uncomfortable, consistent effort. You're capable of more than you think. But you'll never see that truth until you face the struggle and act anyway. Don't wait for it to get easier. Become someone who gets better. Choose effort. Every time. Especially when it's hard. That's how you change your life. One decision at a time. Number 7. Finish what you start, no matter how you feel. There's a crucial difference between starting something and finishing it. Anyone can begin a task, a goal, or a journey. But how many people truly finish what they start? It's not about how you feel in the moment, but about making a commitment to your future self and sticking with it, regardless of how challenging it becomes. When you begin a project, it's filled with excitement, hope, and energy. The first step is always the easiest. You're filled with potential. But as you get deeper into the work, that initial excitement fades, the tasks become mundane. The difficulties start piling up, and your energy begins to wane. That's when most people quit. They stop because the initial thrill is gone. They stop because their feelings tell them it's okay to quit. But feelings are temporary. They come and go. Your commitment to finishing, however, should remain unwavering. When you commit to something, you're not just making a promise to the task, you're making a promise to yourself. You're telling yourself that you are capable, that you have the discipline, and that you respect yourself enough to follow through. It doesn't matter how many distractions come your way. It doesn't matter how you feel. The key is to finish, to cross the finish line, to reach the end, because it's not the start that matters. It's the completion. It's the finish line, where the growth happens. Every time you follow through on something you started, you strengthen your self-discipline. You prove to yourself that you can do what you say you will do, and that builds trust. It builds confidence. The more you finish, the more you believe in your ability to keep going. You show yourself that you are not someone who gives up when it gets tough. You are someone who finishes. You are someone who completes. No matter what, this is where most people falter. They start with the best intentions, but lose steam somewhere along the way. And that's okay. What matters is how you react when the excitement fades, when the initial motivation disappears, and when your mind tells you to quit. Do you stop because it's easier, or do you push through and finish what you started, regardless of how you feel? Finishing what you start isn't just about reaching the end of a project. It's about building resilience. It's about learning how to keep going when the road gets tough. It's about understanding that the process is as important as the result. Every challenge you face, every setback you encounter, is an opportunity to build mental toughness and perseverance. These are the traits that separate those who achieve their goals from those who simply dream of them. If you stop in the middle, you miss the transformation. You miss the opportunity to grow stronger, smarter, and more skilled. The moments of discomfort, the moments of doubt, and the moments when you want to give up are exactly what prepare you for the future. They are the moments that make you who you are. If you finish, you don't just accomplish the goal, you become a different person. You become someone who's learned the importance of persistence, someone who can look back and say, I did it. I didn't quit. I finished. Let's talk about results. Results don't come from starting. They come from finishing. When you finish, you complete the cycle. You go through the process of overcoming obstacles, solving problems, and growing through the challenge. That's how real progress happens. When you look back on what you've completed, you realize that the journey was just as important as the destination. If you look at successful people, they aren't the ones who jump from one idea to the next without ever finishing. They are the ones who stick with their commitments. They're the ones who follow through on their plans, even when things get hard. They know that the satisfaction of completion is far greater than the temporary pleasure of giving up. They understand that the finish line is where their true growth lies. Think about the feeling of completing something. It's not just about the goal itself, it's the feeling of satisfaction that comes with knowing you didn't stop. You pushed through when everything inside you wanted to quit. You kept going when you thought you couldn't. That feeling is what builds confidence. That feeling is what propels you to tackle your next challenge with even more determination. When you finish something, you create a momentum that carries you forward into the next task, and the next, and the next. Finishing isn't easy. It's not always glamorous. It's not always smooth, but it's always worth it. The road will be bumpy. You'll face doubts. You'll face challenges. But that's the test. Can you finish anyway? Can you keep going when you'd rather stop? Because that's where success lives. Success is in the finish. In the end, you're not defined by the number of things you start. You're defined by the number of things you finish. That's what matters. How much have you completed? How many times have you followed through, even when you didn't feel like it? Each time you finish, you take a step closer to your goals. Each time you finish, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you think. You create a habit of completion, and that habit turns into success. You might not always feel motivated. You might not always feel like doing the work, but that's why it's so important to push through those feelings and finish what you started. Motivation comes and goes, but your commitment to finishing should never fade. It should remain constant. If you're struggling with finishing what you start, it's time to ask yourself why. Why did you begin this in the first place? What was the purpose behind it? Reconnect with your why and let that fuel your determination to finish. The The world doesn't reward people who quit halfway through. It rewards people who finish, who see things through to the end, who refuse to give up, no matter how they feel. Remember that finishing what you start is about more than just the task itself. It's about the person you become in the process. It's about strengthening your character, your discipline, and your ability to follow through on your commitments. And that's what leads to true success. Not just in your career, but in every area of your life. Finish what you start, and you'll see the results, not only in the work you complete, but in the person you become. Number 8. Train your mind to stay focused every hour. Staying focused every hour of the day is not just about having the discipline to keep your eyes on the task in front of you. It's about training your mind to avoid distractions and maintain clarity throughout the day. Focus is a skill. It's not something you're born with, it's something you develop. And just like any skill, it requires practice and consistency. The ability to stay focused is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who fall short. It's what allows you to make steady progress, day after day, even when things get tough. You might think that staying focused is easy for some people, but the truth is, no one is born with the ability to stay completely focused for hours on end. It's a learned behavior, and it's developed over time with intentional effort. The distractions around us are constant. Social media, texts, emails, even our own wandering thoughts can take us off track. But learning to stay focused in spite of these distractions is a key component of success. Every hour that you waste is an hour you can never get back. Time is the one resource that cannot be replenished. That's why staying focused is so critical. It's not just about what you're doing in that moment. It's about the value of the time you're investing. The more focused you are, the more you can accomplish in less time. This doesn't just mean doing more things, but doing the right things. Focus enables you to prioritize, to work smarter, not harder. When you stay focused, you allow yourself to move closer to your goals every single day. Focus doesn't just help you get the job done faster. It helps you get the job done with excellence. You're not just checking off boxes, you're fully engaged in the process. And when you engage fully, you put forth your best effort. You make fewer mistakes, you finish more tasks, and you develop a higher level of expertise in what you're doing. But staying focused doesn't mean you're always working at full intensity. It's about being mindful of how you spend your time and energy. Focused work doesn't need to be exhausting. It just needs to be deliberate. It's about knowing what you want to accomplish, staying committed to that outcome, and doing the work necessary to make it happen, hour by hour. The first step in training your mind to stay focused is understanding what it takes to build this skill. Focus doesn't happen on its own. It requires awareness of what distracts you and the self-discipline to resist those distractions. It starts with identifying the things that pull your attention away from the task at hand. Are you constantly checking your phone? Do you find yourself daydreaming or procrastinating when things get difficult? Recognizing these habits is the first step to changing them. Once you identify your distractions, you can begin to develop strategies to avoid them. You can put your phone on silent, turn off notifications, or designate specific times during the day for checking emails or social media. This allows you to focus completely on the task at hand without feeling like you're missing out on something else. Your mind needs to understand that when you're working, and that's where your energy and attention should be. The next step in training your mind to stay focused is practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness means being fully present in the moment, paying attention to what you're doing without judgment. When you practice mindfulness, you reduce the noise in your mind and make it easier to stay focused on the task in front of you. You can start by setting aside small blocks of time throughout the day, maybe just 10 or 15 minutes, and committing to working with complete focus. The more you practice, the more your mind will get used to staying in that state of concentration. One of the most effective ways to train your mind to stay focused is through the Pomodoro technique. This method involves working in short bursts of intense focus, typically 25 minutes, followed by a short break. After 4 cycles, you take a longer break. The Pomodoro technique works because it creates a sense of urgency while still allowing you time to recharge. It's important to give your brain a chance to reset so that you can come back to your work with a fresh perspective and renewed energy. Another key to staying focused is knowing your priorities. When you have a clear sense of what matters most, you can eliminate distractions more easily. Prioritizing your tasks helps you stay on track because you can make sure you're spending your time on the things that move you forward, not just the things that are urgent or easy. Focus comes naturally when you're working on something that matters, something that aligns with your long-term goals and values. Of course, there will be moments when your mind starts to wander, when fatigue sets in, or when distractions seem to come out of nowhere. It's important to acknowledge these moments without being hard on yourself. It's normal to feel distracted from time to time. The key is not to let those moments derail your progress. When your focus slips, gently bring yourself back to the task at hand. Remind yourself of why you're doing this, and refocus on the next small step you need to take. If you find that staying focused for long periods of time is especially difficult, it might help to break your work into smaller, more manageable tasks. Instead of looking at the whole project as one big thing, break it down into bite-sized pieces. Each time you complete one of those pieces, you get a sense of accomplishment and momentum. This momentum helps you stay focused and keep going. The key is not to get overwhelmed by the size of the task, but to stay focused on what you can do right now. Your environment plays a significant role in your ability to stay focused. If you work in a place full of distractions, it's going to be much harder to concentrate. Try to create a workspace that is conducive to focus. This might mean tidying up your desk, minimizing distractions, and creating an environment that supports deep work. When you work in a space that is free of clutter, you'll be able to keep your mind clear and focused on what's in front of you. Another powerful tool for staying focused is developing the ability to say no. Every hour you spend on something that doesn't align with your goals or priorities is an hour you're taking away from your future success. Being able to say no to distractions, whether they are people, activities, or requests, is a sign of strong mental discipline. Saying no allows you to keep your focus where it belongs, on the work that will get you closer to your goals. As you continue to train your mind, you'll find that staying focused becomes more natural. It becomes less of a struggle and more of a habit. Your mind will start to crave the clarity and purpose that focus brings. You'll get better at resisting distractions and staying on track. The more you train your mind to stay focused, the more productive and effective you'll become. And the more you stay focused, the closer you'll get to achieving everything you've set out to do. Training your mind to stay focused isn't easy, but it's one of the most important skills you can develop. It's a game changer. Focus allows you to make the most of every hour, and when you make the most of every hour, you unlock your full potential. So start today. Train your mind to stay focused every hour, and watch how much more you can accomplish. Number 9. Push through boredom to reach real progress daily. The journey to real progress is not always glamorous or exciting. There are days when the work feels monotonous, when the tasks seem dull and repetitive. It's in these moments when boredom creeps in that many people give up. They seek something more exciting, more rewarding in the moment. But here's the truth. Progress isn't built in moments of excitement. It's built through consistent, often boring work. It's about pushing through that boredom and staying committed to your long-term goals. Boredom is a natural part of any process. It happens when we've done something for so long that it feels routine, when the novelty has worn off, and when the thrill of the challenge has faded. In these moments, the temptation to give up or seek out something more stimulating is strong. But real growth happens when you learn how to push through boredom, when you can stay engaged even when your mind wants to wander, when you continue putting in effort, when it feels like you're stuck in a rut. That's where true progress lies. Every day is an opportunity to make progress, but only if you're willing to show up even when things feel boring. You won't always feel motivated. You won't always feel excited about the work ahead of you, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep going. The key to real progress is showing up, doing the work, and pushing through those moments of boredom. Many people mistakenly believe that if they're not feeling excitement or passion about what they're doing, they're not making progress. But the reality is, progress is made in the moments when you don't feel like it. When you're tired, when it's hard, when the work doesn't seem glamorous, that's when real growth happens. It's the small, seemingly insignificant actions that add up over time. It's the work you do on the days when you don't feel like it that eventually leads to the results you want. To push through boredom, you have to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing boredom as a sign to stop, see it as an opportunity to strengthen your discipline. Every time you push through the boredom, you build mental toughness. You prove to yourself that you are capable of doing hard things, even when they don't feel exciting. This is how you build momentum. Every time you choose to continue, you reinforce your commitment to the goal. One of the most effective ways to push through boredom is by breaking down your work into manageable chunks. Instead of looking at a long to-do list or a big task that feels overwhelming, break it down into smaller, more achievable steps. Each small step that you complete helps you build momentum. It keeps you moving forward. And even if you're not feeling particularly excited, each step completed is one step closer to your goal. When you focus on the small wins, the boredom becomes more manageable because you're constantly seeing progress, even if it's in small increments. Another way to push through boredom is by connecting your work to something larger than yourself. Ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing. What is the bigger picture? What are the long-term benefits of staying committed, even when it's boring? Remind yourself of the vision you're working towards. Connect to the purpose behind the work, and remember that the boredom is just a temporary feeling. The results you're working towards will last much longer than any momentary sense of boredom. When you reconnect with your why, it becomes easier to push through the dull moments. You can also find ways to make the boring tasks more engaging. Is there a way to add a bit of variety or challenge to what you're doing? Can you listen to a podcast or an audiobook while working? Or can you change your environment to make it more stimulating? Find ways to inject a bit of energy into your routine to help break the monotony. This doesn't mean you're avoiding the boredom. It simply means you're finding ways to make it more manageable and less overwhelming. At times, boredom may make you feel like you're not making any real progress. But the truth is, this is where the real work is being done. The small, consistent actions you take every day, even when they don't seem exciting, are what lead to lasting change. Don't be fooled by the temporary lack of excitement. Progress isn't always visible in the moment, but it's always happening. The key is to trust the process. Trust that every moment you push through the boredom, you are building the foundation for success. Remember, you don't have to be excited every moment of every day. You don't need to feel motivated all the time. What's important is your ability to keep going even when things feel dull. True progress happens in the everyday moments, in the work you do when it's not easy. It's the work that no one else sees, the moments that feel ordinary, that are often the most important. Another powerful tool in pushing through boredom is developing a strong sense of routine. When you create a routine, you make the work automatic. You don't have to rely on motivation to get started, because the routine itself carries you through. It becomes less about how you feel, and more about what you do consistently, regardless of your mood. A strong routine takes the decision-making out of it. You simply show up, do the work, and trust that the results will follow. There will always be moments of boredom in any journey towards success. The key is to stop seeing boredom as a sign to stop and start seeing it as a challenge to overcome. Boredom is not the enemy. It's the tool that helps you build resilience. It's the test that separates those who are willing to do the work from those who want instant gratification. If you can push through boredom, you'll be able to handle anything that comes your way. You'll develop a level of mental toughness that others won't have because you'll have learned how to keep going even when it's not exciting. Each time you push through boredom, you grow stronger. Each time you resist the urge to give up, you develop a deeper sense of discipline, and each time you choose to keep going, you take one step closer to reaching your goals. The work that seems dull and unimportant now will one day be the work that sets you apart. The success you achieve will be the result of all those hours spent pushing through the boredom, staying committed and doing the work when no one else was. So the next time you find yourself bored, remember that this is not the moment to quit. It's the moment to push forward. It's the moment to prove to yourself that you are capable of doing the hard, sometimes boring, work that others won't do. That's where progress happens. And that's how you achieve your goals. Number 10. Act with purpose, even when no one is watching. Success is built not just on what you do when the world is watching, but on the actions you take when no one is around to notice. It's in those quiet, solitary moments where your true character is tested. When no one is there to applaud your efforts or even acknowledge your sacrifices, do you still act with purpose? This is the true measure of discipline. Acting with purpose, even when no one is watching, is where your integrity is forged, your commitment is proven, and your progress is made. We all have moments when it seems like there's no one keeping track of our efforts. No one will see if we skip a task, take a shortcut, or put off the work for another day. But the truth is, what you do in those moments shapes your future more than you realize. It's easy to stay focused when someone's watching, when there's a deadline looming, or when the reward is immediate. But success isn't just about those high-stakes moments. It's about showing up when there's no one to praise you, no one to check up on you, and no one to tell you that you're doing a good job. It's about holding yourself accountable, even when there's no external pressure. Think about it for a moment. The small decisions you make when no one is watching are the ones that accumulate over time. They're the ones that add up to massive results. The days you choose to show up and work, even when you feel tired, when no one is looking to validate your efforts, are the days that move you forward. Every choice to act with purpose, even when you're alone, builds momentum and shapes your future. Your true success is defined by how consistent you are in those unseen moments, not by the times you shine in the spotlight. The path to greatness isn't paved with grand gestures or big moments of glory. It's built through the daily, often unseen choices you make. Acting with purpose when no one is watching means having the courage to do what needs to be done even when there's no immediate reward. It's about discipline. It's about having the self-respect to hold yourself to high standards, regardless of whether anyone is there to see it. These are the moments that test your commitment to your goals. These are the moments that build your character, and they are the moments that ultimately lead to real, lasting success. When no one is watching, you're free from external judgment, but that doesn't mean you should stop holding yourself to a high standard. In fact, it's precisely in these moments that your integrity is tested the most. Do you still show up? Do you still give your best effort? Do you push through the hard days when no one is there to notice? Your answer to these questions defines who you truly are. The measure of your commitment is not how well you perform when someone's watching, but how you act when no one is looking. This is where true character is built. It's easy to act with purpose when there are external motivators. When you have a boss looking over your shoulder, a deadline approaching, or a crowd cheering you on, it's easy to stay focused and work with intent. But the real challenge comes when all those external motivators are gone. When it's just you and your goals. That's when true discipline kicks in. True self-discipline is choosing to act with purpose, even when there's no one there to hold you accountable. It's about knowing what you need to do and doing it because it matters to you, not because someone else is telling you to do it. Consistency is key in these moments. Success is the result of repeated, purposeful actions over time. And the small, everyday actions you take when no one is watching add up. They build on each other, they compound, and they lead to significant results. It's easy to think that one missed action won't matter. That one moment of slacking off won't have an impact. But those small moments of giving in to temptation or laziness are the ones that pile up and lead to stagnation. On the flip side, every small action you take with purpose, even when no one is there to applaud, brings you closer to your goals. The most successful people are the ones who act with purpose, even when there's no one to see it. They show up every day, whether or not anyone notices, because they know that their future is shaped by the work they do when no one is looking. They understand that it's in those unseen moments that they build the foundation for their success. They understand that every small action, every task completed, no matter how small, adds up to something much bigger over time. So, when you feel tempted to take it easy, to skip a step, or to procrastinate because no one will know, remember this. You will know that you gave less than your best. You will know that you didn't put in the effort when it counted. And that awareness is what shapes your future. Every time you act with purpose, even when no one is watching, you reinforce the habits, discipline, and mindset that will get you where you want to go. It's easy to do the right thing when there's immediate validation, but the true test of your character comes when no one is watching. That's when your real discipline shines through. In those moments you choose to act with purpose, not because of the reward but because you know it's the right thing to do. You do it because you value progress and you value your future. You do it because you understand that success isn't just a product of effort. It's a product of consistent, purposeful action taken even when no one is there to see. When you consistently act with purpose, even in the absence of an audience, you build a foundation of trust with yourself. You trust that you can rely on yourself to do the work. You trust that you won't give up when things get hard. And you trust that every action you take, even in the silence, will eventually lead to the results you want. This trust is what empowers you to continue working toward your goals, no matter what. It's what gives you the strength to keep moving forward, even when the process feels long and lonely. Ultimately, acting with purpose, when no one is watching, isn't just about discipline. It's about honoring the process. It's about respecting the work you do, even when there's no immediate recognition. It's about knowing that the work itself is meaningful, and that each step you take, no matter how small, is moving you closer to the life you've envisioned. And remember, the work you do in private will eventually show up in public. Your results, your progress, and your success will speak for themselves. So commit to acting with purpose in every moment. Whether or not anyone is watching, your future will be shaped by the consistency, discipline, and integrity you show in those quiet, unseen moments. And when you look back, you'll realize that those are the moments that mattered most.